Watch Gohmert goes full savage and uses Strozk's wife to prove he's a liar, by Amy Moreno for TruthFeedNews.com. During Thursday's testimony by disgraced anti-Trump FBI agent Peter Strozk, Representative Louis Gohmert went there and skewered the adulterous liar by bringing up his poor wife, who he shamed by cheating on her with FBI co-worker Lisa Page. Fox News here. When you have text messages, Mr. Strozk, the way you do, saying the things you do, you'd been better off coming in here and saying, look, that was my bias. Well, let's take a listen here.
CIG. They can document that.
Look at his smirk on his face.
You were given that information and you did nothing with it. And one of the things I found most egregious with Mr. Horowitz's testimony, and by the way, Horowitz got a call 4 times by someone wanting to brief him, leaving messages telling him about this, and he never returned the call. He had 500 pages of bias that he gave us, and then he threw a bone to the Democrats and said, but we can't find bias. And let me tell you, when you have text messages, Mr. Strozk, the way you do, saying the things you did, you'd been better off coming in here and say, look, that was my bias. And you kind of get around to that a little bit when you say, hey, everybody's got political views. Those are called biases, and we all have them. And you have come in here and said, I have no bias. And you do it with a straight face. And I watched you in the private testimony you gave. And I told some of the other guys, he is really good. He's lying. He knows, we know he's lying. And he can probably pass polygraph. It's amazing.
Mr. Chairman.
No, this is my
Mr.
time.
Chairman, I'm sorry. Point of order.
Paused.
This point of order.
No.
The gentleman will state his point of order.
A member of this committee just asserted that this witness, who is under oath and a former agent of the FBI, lied. There is no evidence that I asked him to withdraw it.
I do not withdraw it. He is not a member of Congress. It's not a violation of the rule. And just as you have been expressing bias through your members about what a hero
there is not a single person on this committee who has ever characterized a witness.
Gentleman from Rhode Island.
Gentleman,
my time.
That's a
gentleman from Rhode Island will suspend.
No, the disgrace,
Mr.
what this man has done.
The gentleman from Texas will suspend for a moment.
There is the disgrace. And it won't be recaptured anytime soon because of the damage you've done to the justice system. And I've talked to FBI agents around the country. You've embarrassed them. You've embarrassed yourself. And I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
Credibility of the witness is always an issue.
Mr. Chairman, please, there's nothing.
You know, Chairman, this is intolerable harassment.
What's wrong with that? You need your medication.
The gentleman controls
you need your medication.
I ask that the witness be permitted to respond to
will be permitted.
Did you ever talk to Hillary Clinton during your investigation, besides the one questioning you mentioned, before that or after that to this day?
Look at
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Point of order, Mr. Chairman. The gentleman will state his point of order.
It is, I think, against the rules of the House for a member of the committee to be impugning the character of a witness.
So how are we going to get to the bottom of it?
The purpose of this hearing is to elicit information. You should ask questions to elicit information. You should not be impugning the character of the witness.
The gentleman is advised the rules of the House only are directed to members of the House and the President of the United States.
In other words, it is okay to impugn the character of witnesses in any way whatsoever?
Well, listen, I've heard many members on your side of the aisle impugn the character of somebody who is covered by the rules of the House. But the gentleman...
Notice the Democrats really
has 20 seconds left. The clock will be turned back on, and he can complete his time, and then the witness can respond.
So, if you talk to Hillary Clinton, other than
Look at his
the
face.
time she was examined in front of the witnesses?
No.
So after throwing away what you have with all the bias you have, you've never even gotten a thank you. I yield back.
Thank you. That was good. That was good,
Sir, well,
Gohmert.
that's quite a set of statements.
Mr. Chairman, I did not finish with a question.
The
There was
gentleman,
no question asked.
Mr. Chairman, he's been given the opportunity to
the
respond.
gentleman will suspend. The time of the gentleman has expired, and as I've
The
indicated
rules
earlier,
of our hearings are if there is a question asked during the time, the witness may respond to the question after the time.
the witness is going to be allowed to respond briefly.
That's a new rule.
Sir, first,
You see?
I assure
No
you,
question.
under oath, as I spoke also during my interview a week or two ago.
You know why Gohmert didn't ask him a question? Because Gohmert knows that anytime his mouth is moving, he's lying. But did you notice the smirk on this guy's face? And you know what? Gohmert gave it to him good when he said, in other words, you went through all this crap for Hillary and you didn't even get a thank you from her. And you destroyed your reputation. You're destroying this country. And you didn't even get a thank you from her. How about that?
Always told the truth. The fact that you would accuse me otherwise. The fact that you would question.
Yeah, you know, and notice the Democrats right off the bat, trying to hide the evidence. Obstructionists.
Whether or not that was the sort of look I would engage with in a family member who I have acknowledged hurting goes more to a discussion about your character and what you stand.
Look at it. Now he's blaming Gohmert for his affair because Gohmert called him out on it. You're a piece of trash, Strozk. You're a piece of trash. Which way you want to twist it and turn it. The bottom line, you're a piece of trash.
For and what is going inside you.
It's to your credibility, and you lost your credibility.
Perfect statement. You've lost your credibility. That's why Gohmert said, I didn't ask a question. He said, what, this is a new rule where he's allowed to speak? It wasn't the rule prior to my knowledge that he's allowed to speak, because I didn't ask him a question, because I know that anything he answers, he's going to lie.
Lost your credibility.
That's excellent.
The gentleman from Texas will suspend. The witnesses...
Yeah, suspend, because that's all he needed to say. You lost your credibility. You see what I'm saying? See, why every time they get to some kind of a point where something is going to be, some kind of information will surface to the front so the American people can see it, either the Democrats or anybody, they'll enable the crooks to not answer. You get what I'm saying? Like now he's saying, like, don't interrupt him. No, interrupt him. They were interrupting Gohmert. They lowered his microphone, where you notice how Goodlat's microphone is in full blast and Gohmert's microphone is lower if you listen to the sound.
Ample opportunity to
Listen how
express
clear.
his feelings about that, and now the chair recognizes...
Mr. Chairman, there was a discussion about the representative's first assertion about what the ICIG said that I would like to respond to.
Very briefly.
Very briefly. I have no recollection of that conversation. I can tell you I am not a computer forensic expert. I can tell you that every allegation that we had, and ICIG was a great and close partner, every allegation that we had, whether from them or anybody else, was forwarded to experts who looked at it. The scores and scores of servers and BlackBerries and emails and everything we got were combed over carefully by the FBI's experts.
Oh, we can rest assured.
Indicia of injury.
But you don't recall going over those emails, correct?
Gentlemen will suspend.
I have no idea what you're talking about, and frankly,
And the witness will suspend as well.
I do not know what you're talking about.
That
You
is
just
enough.
can't let a witness go on forever. When the fact is, you never did anything
Mr. Chairman,
about those,
order.
correct?
Regular order.
You see how they're trying to shut him up?
You didn't do anything about it.
Sir, if there was a lead, I gave it to the team. Unequivocally.
The gentleman,
there was nothing along the lines.
Mr. Strozk, you will suspend.
Well, that'll come out.
Mr. Gohmert, you will suspend.
That'll come out soon enough, he said it to him. Yeah, you know, and notice how Strozk's answers, they're so rehearsed. They are so rehearsed. Where he says right here, yeah, listen right here.
And ICIG was a great and close partner. Every allegation that we had, whether from them or anybody else, was forwarded to experts who looked at it. The scores and scores of servers and Blackberries and emails and everything we got were combed over carefully by the FBI's experts to see if there's any indicia of injury.
But you don't recall going over those emails, correct?
Gentlemen, will suspend.
I have no idea what you're talking about, and frankly,
And the witness will suspend as well.
I do not know what you're talking about.
That
You
is
just
enough.
can't let a witness go on forever.
the-
when the fact is, you never did
Mr.
anything
Chairman,
about those,
order.
correct?
Regular order.
Don't back down. Yell anyway.
You didn't do anything about it.
Sir, if there was a lead, I gave it to the team. Unequivocally.
The gentleman-
There was nothing along
Mr.
the lines
Strozk,
that
you will
was not addressed.
suspend.
Well, that'll come out.
Mr. Gohmert, you will suspend. Mr. Deutsch, I apologize. I've been instructed by the ranking member that we're going committee to committee, so the next gentleman is going to be recognized, the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Connolly, for 5 minutes.
Well, you notice that they don't want any answers. And I notice, look at Gowdy like he's looking down, but let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. But, you know, Gohmert really nailed him. I really like Gohmert. He may not go by the rules, but you tell me which Democrat goes by the rules. You tell me. Very rehearsed answers from Strozk. Very rehearsed answers. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.